All right. So we're trying to get everybody on Facebook, you guys, because we made a switch to come on Zoom. The reason why is because we wanted to have everybody have their own privacy and their own time in being able to understand, learn, and gather the information that they need in notes based on their membership, right? So that's what we're going to do a little bit better job at in securing that content and information on these calls. So that's why we're moving to Zoom instead of StreamYard regularly. What we're doing on StreamYard is allowing people to just listen in, but they can't participate into anything that's here. But they also, we will automatically block it out when we're coming to a section that's more private or personal. And they understand that because we've created that as a ground rule for the group that's in that side. So with that in mind, I want to tell you, I want to thank you for being on for today. And where we're headed with this is to try to take this to the next level. We've got about 27 people online watching, it looks like, or waiting for the watch to happen. So I better share with them what we're doing here, because this is Zach's not gotten in yet. So let me do this. All right. Thank you for being patient, you guys. Here you go, Zach. I'll put you in so you can run it. All right. That's not good. Well, look at it, Zach. There we go. All right, Zach, you've got the screen. Go for it, buddy. As we go through this, so Mike, where is the echo coming from? There we go. There we go. I just wanted to, while Zach's getting this up for everybody that's here, just wanted to talk a little bit and ask for everybody, as we've gone through this transition and we've done this, we're trying to bring out the positive of what everybody has experienced in this pandemic and this growth. All of us have gotten something that we've learned or we've gathered. Oh, there we go, Zach. Good job. But you put that in StreamYard. Do you want that on? I need to share your StreamYard. Is that what I need to do? I got it. There you go. Is that you, Zach? Got it. Ready? Zach, you can move it now. We could see it. It's live. You can move back and forth.
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's our first.
Let me fix it. I apologize, guys. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm unmuted on StreamYard, so just mute everybody on here.
Okay. I think I just solved it. How about now?
You might have to mute yourself.
Got it. All right, go for it.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to start with our sponsors, Richmond Mortgage. Oh, go forward. Mike Crumbine. You can see his information here. He's done a lot of mortgages for us. He's a great. I have the stuff in front of me. Give me just a second. So Mike Crumbine, president and owner. You've got his website, richmondmortgageinc.com. He helped Mo out kind of in the beginning. It's the first time I've done the presentation. Sorry, guys. Oh boy. We've got Todd Martin with Fairway for home mortgage if you need to find financing. He's your guy. He's very social. He's got another rep that kind of comes in with a lot of our meetings as well. So, and then we've got Haysha Tillman. She's our on-the-go digital bookkeeper. She comes out. She doesn't even have to come out, but unmute and no one can hear. Wow. Okay. There we go. Can you get? All right. Can everybody hear me now? Just nod.
Yes.
Cool. Thank God. All right. So we got Richmond Mortgage with Mike Crumbine. Met him a while ago, and he's waving us now. Help finance a lot of our homes. You're a hard money lender, right? Okay, great. Sorry, it's the first time I've done the presentation, so I'm a little nervous. Office phone number 804-249-2887. You can also send them a fax. Then you've got his website right here, richmondmortgageinc.com. We've got Todd Martin. If you need to finance your home, he's usually helped with people building their credit, kind of gives them a guideline and just a plan. That way you're not going to the dark trying to make your own effort and sometimes failing. We've got Haysha Tillman, who's our digital on-the-go bookkeeper. So she's been she's been helping with Intuit. She's been cutting checks. She's a by subscription only. She's not a CPA, but she will get you everything that you need for your CPA. We've got Richmond Rehab Funding, Tom Kern, Trey Kern, and Whit Kern. Private money lending for rehabs, new construction, anything with land. No monthly payments, no points, no junk fees. Of course, you've got their phone numbers. Tom is 804-304-1228. Trey is 804-909-4686. And Whit is 804-909-4687. We've also got Intergalactic Property Solutions, owned by our own Josh C. Worked with us for a little while. He's doing his own like handyman stuff, lawn care. Savings are out of this world. So he's a great guy. He's really friendly. He's really committed. I suggest giving him a call whenever you got a chance. So Josh, intergalacticpropertysolutions.com, or give him a call on his cell phone, 804-245-0943. So thank you. And then Wise Hire, they are sort of a third party that will gather applications, post your job listings throughout everywhere, Indeed and stuff like that. They give you personality profiles and everything. So they have highlighted profiles for a lot of those stereotypical sort of personality fits for the job positions that you have. And then you can also create your own in case that you've got different needs. So like if you need a buyer versus, somebody who's trying to sell you retail, stuff like that. It's a very great resource. We used it to hire some of our guys. Now you can also find contractors and everything like that. And I think they have an offer code, but I don't have that information right in front of me. But it's wisehire.com. So, and then we have Miss Lindy Pond. She also does a lot of home mortgages, asset management, real estate, investor financing. She's on the call with us today. She's awesome. She's bubbly. I suggest giving her a call, send her an email. She's there to help. So that's everybody for our sponsors.
Hey, Zach.
Yes.
Can you
say that one more time?
Are you unmuted?
I'm good. Yep, he got me.
You brought your lending back today. Can you tell us about it?
I did. So we brought our fix and flip back today. So we've got some updated guidelines. So if anyone has any questions on that, please give me a call. But great news. The line of credit fix and flip is back. Hopefully the long-term rental will be in the next few weeks. So that's great news. That means, things are getting back to new normal, right?
You're muted, Sima. Hello. Mo, you're still muted. I'm unmuted. I can't hear anybody else. Everything okay?
We could hear you. I could hear you.
Linda just needs to unmute herself again.
Go. We can hear you. That.
I'm still here. I'm just saying that if Lindy was going to talk, everybody else but Lindy would just need to mute. That's all.
Yeah.
So
no, she wasn't. She did talk.
Okay.
You couldn't hear her.
Right.
Okay. Sorry. We heard. Did you guys hear her? Yeah. Everybody heard her. Go ahead. Next slide.
Oh, that's the last slide. We're all good.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Sorry. We're good. All right. So welcome everybody. So now what we'd like to do is talk about moving forward in this venture, and what we're going to do tonight is supposed to be about a hot seat. We've got a few other folks that have just joined us. Welcome everybody to the call. But I wanted to talk about what this means and talk about the next steps as we move forward. Every Tuesday, Lindy has done a great job at presenting us with a market update of content that she's delivered. And what I wanted to do is make sure that everybody knows that moving forward, that market update is now, since we're in recovery, is now going to be every 2 weeks. So the content that we're going to do on Tuesdays is going to be more about deals. And the reason I want to bring this up is because I know, Mike, you've got some folks that will come to you in hard money lending deals and opportunities, or looking for deals. We're doing a lot of marketing to advertise, to bring in folks that have deal flow, wholesalers and everything else, to bring them into that deal maker session that's going to happen weekly on a regular basis online on that deal maker site on the Facebook groups. The purpose of that is for everybody to bring the deals that they have, and we're going to do it the same way that we've done. What's happened that we're changing differently is that we're going to allow everybody to do that as on a regular basis that they've not done before at the live meetings. A lot of times, most people don't have a lot of time to present their deals and don't have a lot of mastermind around what the deal really consists of and can we dissect it. So you, as well as everybody else, we're going to treat it as a Shark Tank session when we deal with these deal maker sessions of dissecting the deal. Have you thought of this? Have you looked at that? What have you done in the scope of work? What's there on this? And we're going to try to help the investor and also assist in finding a way to make sure that funding happens somehow, some way. And if you guys want to do it, or if Lindy and Finance America has an offer, all that other stuff is going to be there as an option for everybody. And I think that's what's going to create some a new creativity and a new buzz for what's happening in this new pandemic of where we're going with real estate investing, whether we're buying and holding. And we're going to learn from each other as we do this. What's strong for you is going to be a great message to send to everybody else that's a wholesaler that's out there grabbing those deals. What can I sell the fastest that puts dollars in Mike's pocket as a lender, in Lindy's pocket as a lender, in the investor's pocket, or that buys the deal from the wholesaler side, right? That there's meat on the bone for there to be profit and so on. So all of those are going to be great lessons that I think that will be allowing for a mastermind to happen between all of us of what is valuable and what is not. Does that make sense? So with that in mind, what I want to do is just give you an opportunity to think about between now and the next meetings, and then what you want to have happen. Just send out a suggestion. I'm going to create a form and a little spreadsheet, just a questionnaire, a couple questions for you to answer, to give us a little bit of feedback of what you'd like to see as some steps along the way of content that you want to get in either deal flow that presents to you. Like Mike, you're a hard money lender, so you want to know what's there for those folks that they're going to bring to the table. You want to give them some content, some value. So we're going to create a forum for you to give them, here's what I want to see. Lindy, you're going to say, here's what I want to see. John, if you're looking as an investor at deal flow, you're going to have an opportunity as an investor to say, here's what I would like to see in content you're going to deliver as a wholesaler for what we want to learn about. Does that make sense? And then, everybody else on the call, if you're here as a wholesaler or as an investor, you're going to have an opportunity to get it the way that you want it. And then dictate what kind of content is delivered to you based on the content that's delivered from the deal flow that comes in. So if you are an analytical person, you want more content specific on the properties and comps and things like that, there's a product out there called Investor Comps that a good buddy of mine by the name of Mark Jackson is willing to come in and give that content for free, right? So with that in mind, I want to make sure that you guys understand that this is going to be a growth opportunity for all of us as we deal with the negative side of what's happened in our economy. How we can get out of it is only by supporting each other and understanding how it's best to serve each other. So Mike wants to see different types of loans that Lindy wants to see, right? John wants to look at different types of investments that Victor might want to see differently, right? And based on that, we're going to all be able to get those delivered to us directly in a platform that we can receive them and ask questions. So it's all a participation type of thing, but I just want to put it out there. And if you have any suggestions as we go along, please say so. All the people here that are involved, Lindy's playing a big role in supporting in the growth of all this as a sponsor, and the same as Mike. So I hope you guys can give me some great feedback. But all the members, your word matters, and I want to make sure that you have some understanding that you can give us what you want to receive in content that you feel like is the weakest point that holds you back from getting to the next level of where you want to be. So put that in mind and let's get there. But I would hope that you use the next week to 2 weeks to get that ready so we can have the next meeting happen with a lot of great support and mastermind together as how we're going to take this out of where we're at now into great successes. So without further ado, I'd like to turn this over for all of us in a private session, because I had the great pleasure of working with Austin for a long time, and he's here giving his time to us, but without needing anything else. But with that in mind, what he's given to us is a lot of his education, experience, and knowledge, and he brings to us something that he did earlier today in the afternoon called Predictive Index. And Predictive Index is really an understanding of not only how to people use it for hiring, people use it to understanding personalities, people understand it, use it to do all kinds of things. But it's really powerful, the science and the psychology behind it. And there's really nobody better that's got a lot of experience with working with people as a franchise owner and as a boss of people and a manager and a great influencer. I really feel like he's done a great job at understanding and teaching others of how to work with people, of who they are, where they are right now, and then how to hire right and how to expand and scale and properly by hiring the right people. And he gave some stats earlier that were profound. So I know he doesn't have time to cover all that content. So I'm going to ask everybody on the call to please go back and look at that. It was on the Richmond REIA site, aired on Facebook and several other places. It'll be on YouTube by the end of the evening. But I'm going to ask you, if you could you please take the time and review that? But tonight, I want you to really pay attention to what he's going to summarize from today's meeting, because he's going to really talk about some powerful key points that drive, performance, I think. So, Austin, are you ready for me to unmute you for a couple minutes, buddy? Let's see. Can I do it, or is he doing it? You got it.
Hear me now?
Yeah, buddy.
Cool.
Thanks you.
That's good. Well, thanks for having me on again, though. Twice in one day.
I know, right? saving me, buddy,
Pretty
is
good.
what you're doing. You know that, right?
Yeah. It almost offset the fact that I had to see Zach once. So anyway, sorry, Zach.
You'll pay for that one later, buddy.
Anyway, yeah, my name is Austin Rickard. I was over at Sharper Business Solutions. Here's kind of our 5 different companies that we own. I'm mostly work in the Sharper personnel side of things. Just spent a lot. I was in the pizza business for 10 years, and like I told Mo earlier today, when you're in business, really every business is a people business, right? You got to have customers to grow your business, and customers are people, and you got to have employees to deal with the customers, and employees are people, right? We've not gone quite to the everything being automated yet. So I know they're saying that's coming, but it's not here yet. So every business is a people business. You have to interact with people, and interact with people of all different kinds, different backgrounds and different drives and different needs that people have, different experiences. So anyway, work a lot with that. A lot of our clients, as they're growing, that's what they're dealing with. They have to bring people on, and they're structuring their businesses to do that. So anyway, I've been married 17 years. Wife and I've been together since we were 16. Got 4 kids. We already homeschool, and I already work from home. I sold my business a couple of years ago. So COVID came, and I was just, everything was the same for us. Like nothing changed for us. So anyway, I was a high school mathematics teacher for 6 years. With the College Board, graduated, taught high school math for about 6 years, and then jumped over into the pizza business. Went back to what I did in college and bought a Papa John's and grew it into eight stores in 3 different states here in the Midwest. I'm based out of Indiana, just outside of Chicago. Sold those a couple of years ago. Was going to retire, and found that I enjoyed working with companies on developing their teams and just the hiring aspect of that, and working with employees and things like that. So a big need for that. So that's what I work a lot with now. And like Mo said, we talked about it earlier. So I am, though, Mo, going to kind of give the stats I gave earlier real quick here. I'll buzz through them. If you want more explanation, you can go back and watch the video from earlier. But talk about unemployment right now. It's kind of been a big thing. I was telling Mo, a presentation that I gave, we figured it up 12 weeks ago, was completely different than what we're talking about now. The job market was completely different from when we were looking to hire employees. We were really talking more about retaining the current employees that we had, as opposed to trying to hire, because there were so few applicants out there. And I'll talk about in a minute what the unemployment rate was. I don't know what it is currently as of today. It's ranging in the high teens to pushing 20%, I think. So anyway, the Federal Reserve, though, has issued before, and this is not new data here, but the Federal Reserve believes that a so-called natural rate of unemployment is between 3.5% and 4.5%, even in a healthy economy. We really can't get down to much less than 3.5% unemployment. structure, don't need rules. They're comfortable with ambiguity. Right? High D's, no means no, right? Which you want your bookkeeper to follow the rules and the structure, and you want your sales guy to not take no for an answer. So we're looking for people that naturally gravitate to those things, and that's naturally what motivates them when we start looking at jobs. So for example, here's mine. I'm a low A. I'm more, let me collaborate, let me think it through, give me stability, and give me structure. Those are the things that motivate me and drive me when you go to interact with me. So for example, this is a reference profile, kind of describe me. What do I need? Well, somebody like me needs reassurance. I need time to trust others. I need freedom from changing priorities, freedom from risk of error. In other words, not that I won't take responsibility, but I want to know that I did exactly what you told me to do. You're going to see me be helpful, pensive, steady, and diligent. Communication. Even though I'm talking like this, because you're seeing me talk and interact, it's not what naturally drives me. It's based on, because what I'm not measuring with PI is skills. Knowledge. Well, I have a degree in education. I taught high school for 6 years. I stood in front of a group of teenagers, which some people are like freaked out by, and talked for 8 hours a day, right? So what you're seeing is knowledge and training and that coming out when I present, not that it naturally what drives me. Anyway, so I'm more reserved and formal when you meet me. My communication style is very detailed. That's why I know I have to be careful with these presentations, because I'll get into the details. Like
I know.
Delegation, I hold on tightly. I like to hold on to my own work. I like consensus. I follow the book. I'm conservative, cautious. I avoid risks, things like that you're going to see. For me, I need step-by-step training. Give me a book. I will follow it exactly. Be supportive. I don't like conflict. And then keep it steady. I like a stable work environment. Anyway, some jobs I'd be good at. Bookkeeper, office manager. Acquisitions, don't hire me for acquisitions. I may come and do it, but if I'm coming to do it, it's because you're paying a lot of money, not because I enjoy doing it. And I'm going to make my money, and I'm going to go find something else I enjoy to do. Or you're going to have to continue to pay me to motivate me to do it, right? Like that. So anyway, I also wouldn't be good at a flooring sales company. So, all right, I'm almost done. I'm actually going to jump to Mo. This is Mo's.
Oh, my gosh. You're going to give me away.
Hey, yeah, here's Mo. So Mo is a high A. Let him drive. Right? Give him independence. When you come to Mo with an idea, expect that he is going to give you feedback. He enjoys to be challenged. When Mo comes with an idea, we talked about this earlier. Mo wants you to tell him what you think, right? He's comfortable with that conflict. He's not, that. Let him talk it out. Extroversion. I think you all know Mo, you're going to see that. When he has an idea, he's going to start just talking up all the ideas. Some of them might be good, some of them might not be, but you're going to see it all coming out there. So keep that in mind, that just because he threw an idea out there doesn't mean that he thought it all the way through, right? He's just going to tell you, hey, I'm just seeing what's six against the wall. He is situational with his drive for stability. He likes stability. He likes that steady pace. Probably, Mo, what drove you to the military was just that consistent, steady, even because, see, you don't follow the rules and the structure. It wasn't that. It was probably the fact that it was a steady, stable environment that you were in.
Well, I was a federal agent in counterintelligence in the Marine Corps, so,
But then when it comes to structure, don't box him in. Give him flexibility, right? And then we also see some other things. He's comfortable with risk. He has an informal communication style. He's quick to connect. He's proactive, and he's a little more task and people oriented. Sorry, Mo, I didn't go into that earlier, so it's some extra stuff there. And then Mr. Zachariah Matthews. I did not ask Zach. Sorry, Zach. So Zach likes independence as well, but a little more. Let him think it through. Lower B. His communication style is going to be more factual, straight to the point. It's going to need a little bit of time. You bring something to him. Don't expect him to just immediately respond to you. Give him some time to kind of go, because he's going through all the scenarios in his head. He does like variety, change of pace. He likes to move at a pretty quick pace. And then he does like some structures, what we call a cutback D. He will follow the rules and structure to a degree sufficient for most organizations in most situations. So what we start doing, like I showed you a minute ago, is that we look at we have a job. We build a job profile, and we look and see who matches it to make sure they're going to enjoy the job and the job's going to motivate them. And then on the back end, we start looking at how are we as managers can actually manage these folks to get the most of them. Like I told Mo earlier today, and I'll wrap up right here, Mo, is that what they have found in studies is that companies that use talent optimization, that actually look at their employees and say, what does my employee need? And let me tailor my management style to what motivates them, have a 34% higher, I lost the word all of a sudden, but a higher performance rate out of their employees than companies that don't. That means that for every 3 employees, you actually are getting 4 employees worth of work. You're getting a free employee every time you have 3. And that is just money straight to the bottom line. If I had 34% more productivity out of your people, how much more would that mean to the profitability of your company on multiple levels? So yeah, straight to the bottom line. Yeah. And like we talked about earlier today, right? We all look at the deal and say we got to structure the deal right. We all understand that part of that, right? What they would say, the money is made in the contract, right?
That's right.
Not on the back end. But then we come to employees and we say, oh, well, I'm going to hire this person. It doesn't really fit, but I can make them deal with it. Well, no, not anymore. Then you can't take a bad deal and make money out of the bad deal. So same concept here, just to lower it down there. But anyway, most I got. Hopefully it was helpful for everybody.
Oh, it was, buddy. And one of the things that you've helped me discover recently, and that was the most important point that I want to bring up for everybody, is the fact that if you have staff and you have employees and they're in your presence and you're looking at, okay, how do I don't know if I'm getting the best out of what I want out of that production or movement. It's probably because you're not using them in the right areas. And then there's a reason why, having the right butts in the right seats, doing the right things is important, right? And that's why we have a tool like Predictive Index and so on. Austin, can I ask you a question? What do you think the most resistance is in folks in applying the knowledge of what they get from you coaching them on Predictive Index of their staff and employees is for them to apply it into their business?
Yeah. So what I see is right off the bat, the way we've always hired has been to look at a resume. We've always hired off of experience. And that's the biggest thing that I about 5 years into my company, I actually quit hiring people that had experience, like into upper management, stuff like that. Guys would come in and they would apply for a job and they'd say, I was a manager at Pizza Hut down the street, or Domino's actually is a little closer to Papa John's, but I was the manager at Domino's, and they'd come in thinking I was going to hire them. I'd say, yeah, I'm not interested. And they would say, well, I said, but I have experience, and that's why I'm not interested. I don't really feel like
bad experience.
retraining you, right? Yeah. It's like trying to take somebody who's in the Air Force and make him a Marine. It just doesn't work. Right?
Exactly.
So, exactly. I wouldn't hire based on it because honestly, I looked and said, if you were such a great Domino's employee, then why didn't you stay there? Yeah, and then they would usually give me all these reasons why they left and blah, blah, blah. And I would say, well, there's no guarantee that the manager that I'm going to put you under is going to be any better than the guy that you had, that you're going to get along better. I would rather have taken somebody who had no experience but enjoyed the job. Like I would hire guys with restaurant experience because they knew what they were experiencing. So right off the bat, we've always hired up experience. And yes, that's part of it. I'm not going to take an 18-year-old kid fresh out of high school and put him in charge of my multi-million company, right? Like I'm not going to do that. So that's not what I'm saying. But we get hung up on, does this person have the experience I'm looking for? And experience, what we're finding is that through science and through surveys and research is that job experience is only a 12% predictor of job performance. It's a terrible predictor of it. So what's happening is I'm getting guys that are using Predictive Index and they want my bond.
That's all right.
Anyway, I have 4 kids and one is a blonde and there she is. Wave hi as you walk by. Wave hi.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi, darling.
She's been on the sprinkler all day. Anyway,
all right.
But is that they hire based on experience. They get Predictive Index, they use it, and they still think, oh, but I need to get. I have a client out of Philadelphia. He hired bookkeeper, hired 3 of them in 18 months, all based on experience. All 3 of them he had to let go. The 4th one, he finally said, you know what? I'm going to hire them based on behavioral assessment and a cognitive assessment that I didn't get into today. And he called about 6 months later, and he's like, she's the best employee I've ever hired. She learned quickly. We measure for that with cognitive. And she enjoys the job. She loves coming to work, so she just dug right into it. She had a degree in art, like no bookkeeping experience, and just he's like, she's the best employee I've ever had because she enjoys the job. And that's what that's trying to explain to everybody is hire based on what people enjoy to do, right? Because what do they say? If you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And as business owners, we all sit to ourselves and we ignore that with the employees. We hire the employees and say, well, we're just going to hire employees and plug them into the company, and they're just going to like it, and they're going to get, because they're getting paid on Friday, right? And what it is, we have to stop doing that and look and say, let's hire employees. And really, we're protecting them as much as we're protecting ourselves. Like, are you really doing somebody a favor who you're going to hire who's going to hate their job every day? And then, so they're going to hate their job for 5 years, and then one day they're going to up and quit and have to go find another job, or maybe not, maybe 3 months, right? What good does that do anybody? So it's just applying that to over there, and that's where I get probably the biggest resistance, is that just this is the way we've always done it. And the problem we're going to have is in 2021, 51% of our workforce are going to be millennials, and when do millennials not have job experience? Most of them went to college for a degree that they're not going to use, and most of them have changed. They're not my parents' generation who worked the same place for 35 years. They've changed jobs so many times that by the time they come to us, they don't have job experience, and they're still trying to find out what they want to do. And this tool allows us to look at that and say, okay, you don't have job experience, but you're going to enjoy the job that I'm hiring for, and it's going to be the motivator to get you to work every day. And even nowadays, millennials we're missing that too, is that millennials are more concerned about the company they work for than the paycheck. You know, where are you at on social issues? You're seeing that we're in the middle of it right now.
Right now.
Social issues. And they want to know the reason why you're seeing companies come out in support of these social issues. I'm not getting political here. I'm just saying, why are companies getting involved in this stuff? Why? Because their employees are interested in it.
It's an important point.
And
That's
it's to support the employees, because employees are concerned, where does my company stand on these social issues, and do I want to work? Right, Glassdoor wasn't a thing 5 years ago, but now they're going to go and look and see what kind of culture do you have in your company. And that's the workforce we're going into now, where we have to start managing them. See, Mo, you got me going on a soapbox here.
No, it's a great soapbox, buddy. I love it. It's a great point that you're making, because that's where we're headed, right? Things are changing, and that's what we're all focusing on right now, is how do we turn all these things that we're up to into the positives of where we're headed in the future, right? So, purposely, what do you? Let me ask you this: foundationally, where do you think that we need to do in communication with folks on their value proposition? Right now, forget the pandemic. We're now moving into a world issue, or let's just talk about a U.S. issue, which is how we're dealing with this crisis of communication. Because I really feel like it's a communication issue. So how do you handle that? Yeah,
I think you and I kind of talked about this the other day too. So we've got with Sharper, I think we're up to a little over 250 clients that we've worked with, and I've been with Sharper I think for about half of them. So that and every time I go to meet with a client, every time on the issues list, because we do the consulting side with EOS and all that, on the issues list for the quarter goes communication. We're not communicating properly. And as I started digging into that more and really asking people, like, what do you mean communication isn't there? Like, we're having our departmental meetings, we're having weekly level 10s, and like we're all available, right? There's how many modes of communication are out there now, right? Texting and Voxer and Slack, and I mean the list goes on and on. Like, we are more connected now than we've ever been. But why is it that communication still continues to make its way onto the issues list in our companies? And I started talking to people and looking at it and said, our employees feel like they're not understood. They're not saying that the communication's not there. It's that you don't understand. You're not communicating to me where I feel like you understand me. Again, I mean, to go into what's going on right now, really what's happening here? What's going on? What are they saying? They're saying is you don't understand us.
Yes.
Right? You're not you don't understand. We're communicating to you, and we don't feel like you're getting that. And that's what our employees are coming to us and saying is that, yes, there's always most, because we're looking to say, what do you mean? I'm available all the time. Like, you can email me, text me, call me, whatever. What they're saying is you don't understand me. And that's where behavioral assessments come into place, is whether you get a tool like Predictive Index, whether you use DISC, looking and saying to your employees, hey, I want to know more about you. I want to know what makes you tick, so that when you come and talk to me, I'm able, for example, like I mentioned, the low drive for social. low drive for socials need time to think. So when you go to somebody like me, like Zach, and you press us to give you an answer, we actually go into more of a shutdown mode. And it actually is counterproductive to us. And we actually, we'll get very, very irritated about it because, like, give me a second to think about it, right? And so when the high Bs come, I was working with a client who has predictive index, and she told me that she's a sales manager, and she called the sales, she started having weekly meetings for the salespeople. And this one salesman, she could not get him to talk. And so we sat down, and we were going through his PI and kind of talking about it. And I said, he was a low B, low drive for social. I said, when are you giving him his sales report? And she said, well, when he walks into my office, I hand him his sales report and we go through it. But he won't respond to me. And I said, well, why don't you give it to him? Do you have it the day before? She's like, well, yeah. So why don't you try giving him the day before? So the next week she gave it to him on Monday. He walked in the office on Tuesday. She called me right when she was done. She's like, he talked my ear off. She said, literally, I couldn't. What happened? He needs time to process. She gave him the report the day before. He had time to go through it, kind of get his thoughts together. And then he walked in with boom, 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 boom. Here's exactly what, each of these is and how I'm going to improve. And he had it all together.
Beautiful.
And she's like, it was like talking to a different person. So take time to invest in your employees, find out who they are, find out how they tick, what their preferred communication style is, and stop looking for a new mode of communication, right? Let's add another one. Let's add Marco Polo or TikTok. I don't know what they all are. Everybody keeps coming up with these different ones, and we're not stopping and saying what actually resonates with them, what communication style. So that's what I would just encourage you is that. Find out, does your employee need independence or do they need to come collaborate with you? And are you giving them those opportunities to collaborate? Most employees are more collaborative. That's why they didn't go start their own company, because they're not independent, they're collaborative. And we don't give them, just because we don't need those opportunities doesn't mean that they don't, right? So we have to give them a chance to be collaborative with us. Maybe they need time to think things through, or maybe they're going to come in our office and they're a high B and they want to talk everything through, and we're looking at them and saying, I don't have time right now to listen to you, right? Or they, things like that. They need variety and change of pace. We're locking them in an office all day and not giving them opportunities to, change things up. So anyway, that's kind of, I think, answer your question.
No, that's beautiful, buddy. I mean,
detailed communication style. Say that's me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing that I got out of what you just covered, and what I appreciate the most out of what you said is it's all based on communication, and how we communicate our message of our values, our vision as visionaries, and in how we translate that to our staff. And it's an integral role between, I think you guys have talked about it a lot, and Gary helps on it, the relationship between a visionary and an integrator in a business is really important. And then that message that integrator drives usually is your experience of most integrators in companies. We're real estate related here. Talk about, if you don't mind, what you see in personalities versus visionaries and integrators, if you don't mind, when it comes to predictive index, and how do you coach that relationship and communication, if you don't mind briefly? I don't want to drag you on to another one, but
yeah, no, that's fine. So what we see is that it's kind of a good cop, bad cop, is how I describe it. Is the visionary is the guy who comes in and gets to kind of be the cheerleader. Like, let's go, guys, let's do this. Here's where we're going. Here's where we're right. It's almost all theoretical. Like, here's where we're going to be at in 5 years. Here's an idea I have. Could be a good idea. Could be a bad idea. Who knows? We'll find out, right? And the integrator at that point, his job is to take that and actually see what will work operationally with that. Or does it fit into what we're doing? Does it need to go somewhere else? And that's where the integrator is taking those big ideas and is breaking them into, and
marketing budgets and all that.
Is this even feasible for us to do, right? And what we see too is that the visionaries, their profiles, based on their profiles, they're comfortable with ambiguity, they're comfortable with risk, and they do really well with criticism. Like they can be told it's a bad idea, and they're generally okay with it.
I am.
You know, the integrators not so much so. Integrators, now most integrators are still independent. Generally, we don't want them more independent than the visionary of the company, because if they're more independent, they want control of everything. We still want them to have some out of control. They're leading people, but they have to be somewhat independent, but not more independent than the visionary. Second is, they like people, but again, not quite as much as the visionary does, because they're the ones that have to hold everybody accountable. Like they're the ones that have to say, "I'm sorry, the fact that your dog had to go to the vet isn't an excuse for being 5 minutes late to work. Get to work on time next time." Whereas the visionaries tend to be more, "Oh, well, I'm sorry, is the dog going to be okay? Is it, I know you have pets, Mo, so you're
3.
That's who the integrators are. They're more that bad cop kind of a thing of, "I don't care, you got to be on time to work. We got to have you here." And the visionaries often struggle with that when I have this conversation, because they're like, "Well, what about this scenario?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really care." Yeah, and then the integrators as well, they're more detail oriented. They're going to work better in the structure. They're looking how to take this broad idea, put structure on it, and then implement this thing.
Yeah.
Right, like how's it going to work? And so I'll be honest with you, Gary and I have, and it comes back to two, outside of predictive index, there has to be a massive amount of trust between those two people, because they're opposite ends of philosophies and thought process. I'll tell you that Gary and I have he's watching this thing on Facebook, we have some very spirited conversations. And Gary and I have known each other since we were teenagers, but we have very spirited conversations, because he's telling me one thing like rah rah, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's a terrible idea." He's like, "It's a terrible idea." Like, and we get into it with that. But there's got to be an extreme amount of trust there between the two relationships too, because they're so opposite. They're communicating, they're making decisions on different levels, that they both have to be able to trust each other. So that's kind of my final kind of capstone to that.
Beautiful, brother. Beautiful. Yeah. Great, buddy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So with that in mind, I wanted to just bring up some points of some things that I just learned. And I wanted to ask you, Austin, what your thoughts of this. I'm in a certification training that Kathy, Zach, and I are Kathy and Zach have already taken the first step of it. We're going to do a live session. It's called Exchange, exchange.com. And it's about appreciative inquiry. And the thing that I learned today that was an aha moment for me in my certification training was the biggest thing that all of us have in communication as a gap is understanding where each other are coming from when we're making a point or a stance that we're passionate about, right? So what we're dealing with in society today has been something that there's been a big drive and understanding everybody's point on history, what each and every the races and Black people as a whole had to suffer and go through as a whole. And my experience was, and I shared this openly there, and I want to just talk this openly, because we can't affect change unless we're clear about our communication. And I think this is a powerful point and a powerful place to make this point otherwise. And we've got some audiences here that I think will appreciate it. My point is purposeful communication of our intent is more important than what's being delivered right now in the message. The feedback that the people that are pillaging businesses and things like that are getting is more negative in nature, because it's not really understanding their message. Most of them are trying to say, we're doing it because you won't listen, and now we're starving, and you're blockbusting us, and you're putting us into whatever neighborhoods and blah, blah, blah. And all these stories are coming up that flush up all kinds of fear and frustration and hatred and commitment to nothing but negativity, instead of forward progress of how to create positive results out of this problem that we're in. Now, the communication should probably be more in line of how do we understand each other and understand what's there. I came from a place of being born overseas in Cairo, Egypt, that there was no black-white. And living in Venice, Italy, and other areas abroad, there was no black-white or indifference. That was not even there. So I didn't realize it until I came here into the United States until 1980, when I was, about 11 or 12 or so, or close to it, that I didn't really understand that the problem that folks are dealing with here is not something that I've heard of or seen. So I didn't have those preconceived notions of what those what my ancestors or parents or other people may have experienced in slavery, maybe, right? That is causing this conversation, this frustration of what we're dealing with as society today, of who's not getting the right rights or privileges or capabilities, right? That's not ever been a conversation of mine. And here's the difference. The people that I've surrounded myself with back then, when I was in that side, they didn't have those conversations either. So it wasn't anything that we focused on. The thing that I want to focus on here is what we focus on here drives us and creates the forward progress. So if we want to focus on positive, we're going to get positive reactions from folks. And if we can take a positive way of looking at this current issue that we're dealing with, instead of looking at it in the negative way of why are they doing this? Why are we? The issue is we can't get past it if we can't get past why the issues happen. The past is the past. We can't move to the future unless we acknowledge it. The biggest problem that I see as a foreign person that came into this not knowing what's here and not having these preconceived ideas or having parenthood given me their result or experiences of being a slave or having that be in my ancestry, because I didn't have that happen, because I was from Egypt and in Italy and my ancestors didn't have that experience, right? So that means I didn't get that bred into me, that negativity. So based on that, my language and my attitude is completely different than the folks that are dealing with this issue now. The folks that are saying my issue is nobody's acknowledging where we've been in the past, and I don't feel like I'm ever going to get an opportunity to excel as a Black person, is what's being said. But nobody's hearing it, because what are we listening to? The people that are like you and I that have never experienced this, right? We can't understand their situation. So how do you communicate that? What do you feel like is going to be the driver out of this communication problem that we're having with each other, because we don't understand where each other is coming from?
Man, I don't know.
I know it's a deep one. I'm sorry.
I think if I did know, I'd probably run for president of the United States.
Well, here's the point that I'm trying to make, because I think that you're on the right topic, Austin, when you talked about our understanding and communicating. And the two, I think, are connected.
Yeah, I saw on Facebook this earlier today. There was a Black gentleman that posted a video, and he kind of went through and he said, I'm a vegetarian and I go to church every Sunday and I teach Sunday school. And he went on for about 2 or 3 minutes just talking about, I like basketball and I like this. And I kind of just went through all of it. And then he said, so before you call, so what I wanted is, none of that is important other than that I wanted you to get to know me before you call the police. Was a comment, on it. It was a video on it. And, it had a little bit of humor in it too. Like you said, I'm a vegetarian, and I'm sorry for that. And then he said, I've done goat yoga. I'm even more sorry for that. Like, he had some humor in it, but he was going through it all. And I think I think it goes back to what we've been talking about here, is that people are not feeling like they're understood. And I think that and in the US, because we are such a homogenous group, right? Like you said, everybody's from everywhere, right? Like I can go back and look at my ancestors and say, we're from, Canada. My grandfather's from Canada, and then, family from Scotland and Germany, and like it all just right? Like nobody's actually from America. We all look at that. Whereas, Egypt, where you're from, Egypt, where your ancestors from, Egypt, like that's where it came from. And so I think what you're seeing with all of these different groups is not feeling like everybody else is understanding what they're going through and the challenges they're having and like that. And when we begin to, and when they begin to feel like we understand them, and I think that I think that's what's going on with immigration. Hispanics coming from the South. I think it's what you're seeing with African Americans. I think it's what you're seeing with, honestly, the white population as well. I think you're seeing the white population saying to the other ones that you don't understand what we're dealing with, so why do you want us to understand what they're dealing? We're all different, right? And I mean,
that's what makes us this melting pot, and that's the beauty of it.
What makes America great is that it's so different, right? It's completely different. And I mean, I'll say that it's oftentimes as a white middle-class male in the U.S., I sometimes feel misunderstood, right? And because a lot of times I get pushed into a group, and I'm like, whoa, I don't associate with these people. That's not who I am. That's things like that. And oftentimes I get pigeonholed into this group. Now, I am in no way saying that I deal with the challenges that other groups deal with, but there are times that I feel misunderstood, and sometimes they put me into a box as well. And so that's something that I think in America that we deal with, and it's what makes us a great country, is that we're different, right? And we have to all look and have understanding of it. But I think it goes back to the communication side of things, is that we have to not only understand, but empathize and do what we can to make sure that all the different people we're interacting with feel like we understand them. So anyway.
I know we went on a tangent. This is a real estate call, and it's Richmond REIA, by the way.
We're buying houses for everybody, right?
We're buying, right? Understanding personalities and understanding how to deal with people is really important, right? Because this is going to come up. If there's people on here that are wholesalers, and there's people I know there is. I know the names are on here, and there's people on here that are landlords, and you're going to deal with it. And then there's people on here that are flippers. The issue is, no matter what you do, we're dealing with it right now as a society. And I think this language and communication style is really important for us to adhere, because the old style of doing things and operating in ways of being shut down or blindsided to the way people feel or what have you is not going to work anymore. We're in the relationship building business. That's all we do is that. And if we can't service the community that we serve to make the world better around us, to help people get out of their ugly situations and to become, to have the freedoms that they want, to have the lifestyle that they want, to have the home that they want, to have, the family be protected and have legacy happen for all of them, then we've got to understand everybody's language, and we got to be able to pay attention and be patient. I think that's a great word.
I think too that a lot of you on the call probably have stories where you went on a sales call, made a connection with them, and they looked at you and said, I want to sell my house to you, and I don't care if the next guy that comes in here offers me a few more dollars. I want to deal with you.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Because they felt like you understood their situation.
Right.
You could help, right? Whether you could help them, the other guy could help them too. You understood what they were going through.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all of you could reference back to stories like that as well. And when we have those aha moments with people, it makes all of our jobs that much easier.
So I'm going to ask you something, Austin. I've got this foundational question that I want to ask everybody. If you could write it down. The question is, on purpose, I invite you to connect it to a deeper purpose, meaning of fulfillment in general, or in a relation to a meeting, event, or task at hand. I'm asking you to look back in history in your past, something that was profound, that was awesome, that you learned a ton from, that was the best experience, sales experience. Let's just say you got the best deal. What was that deal? If you were a wholesaler, or if you're a buyer of houses and you deal directly with home sellers, that was your best deal. Think of that, right? That's number one. Number 2 question, high points, moment questions. These are questions that you've learned something from. This is your aha moments that you got out of that experience, right? So I'm inviting you to explore and experience in moments of excellence. Generally, it's more specific, a meeting, event, a task at hand, something that you've accomplished, that you checked off the box that was awesome. You did it. You accomplished something great. What was that aha moment out of the first question, which was that best experience that you've had in whatever that you're currently doing as either an investor, if you're a hard money lender, if you're a landlord, if you are a predictive index coach, if you are Zach Matthews in operations running Fresh Start, all of that, right? What is your best moment, right? And then from that, what are the high points that you were learned from that best moment? What are the ahas? These are things that you've got to document and put in order to voice the positivity out of everything that you look at, right? I just want us to look at that and paint that picture. Next is continuity. The question is, I'm going to invite you to uncover and clarify the strengths, the values, and the qualities of what you bring to the table because of what you learned from that experience, right? The aha moment. That's what I wanted to get past you and get you to acknowledge is the understanding of the strengths, the values that you brought to the table, the qualities that you presented that separated you from the masses, right? That everybody else was. And then the last question that I'm going to ask you to pose to yourself, where do you see yourself in the future with this learning, with this experience, with this knowledge? Where do you see yourself with it? Where do you see yourself as a wholesaler, as a hard money lender in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, right? Those are the things that I want us to take out of the lessons of what we got out of the day. And as well, we talked a lot of things, and Austin did a great job at talking a lot about understanding ourselves and understanding the people that are surrounding us. One of the things that a lot of us as entrepreneurs have heard is our network is our net worth is our net worth, right? So how am I presenting myself to my network? Now, my network is my first impression is the best impression. So how am I showing up? Who am I? Am I being negative? What are my languages? What are my attitudes? What is my behavior? Who am I being? Am I being positive or am I being negative? And I'm asking you that because you also got to take a look at that, at what you're creating in your own life personally and what you're creating in your results when you're dealing with whatever you're touching, either your investments, either your deals that you're looking at, your opportunities with dealing with sellers. Are you chasing the money or are you embracing what it takes to make money? That's the most important language that I want you to get out of that and really understand. I know you guys wanted to see that tonight was going to be a phenomenal hot seat session. And unfortunately, we did a transition from StreamYard to Zoom. And we didn't have most of the audience was still on StreamYard. And unfortunately, we didn't have enough people here that wanted to volunteer to become part of the hot seat. So here's what I'm going to do. I wanted to make sure that you've got enough content out of tonight that forwards you on how to deal with opportunity and also how to deal with what you're dealing with now and what we're all dealing with. We dealt all together with the pandemic of coronavirus. We're all dealing with the hatred and the fear of what society has brought us right now in the languages and the communication styles that we've had made choices of over many years. So here's what I'm going to ask you. Please focus on the positive and take these questions that I asked. Again, number one, find an event that you were awesome at in your life. Document it. Look at your experience and look at the aha moments out of that experience, what you got out of it. I'm looking at, hopefully, if you're a real estate professional, you've gotten that experience. If you haven't, you got to get out there and you got to get more activity going to get in front of people to get that experience, right? That's what's most important to do right now. Now, number 2 is how do you take the high points and the aha moments out of that experience and turn it into a positive? That's the next step of what's more important than anything else. Take that, understand it, the aha moments that you feel like are going to provide value for others, not you. Look outside to others, not you. Third, the last one, uncover and clarify your strengths, your values, and your qualities that you bring to the table that allow you to carry this message forward. What gets you out of bed? Some of your whys and what drives you is more important than anything else that helps you answer that question. And last is how are you going to take all of that in summary and use it for your future? Where do you see yourself in 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years from now? I hope this helps, and I hope that drives us all. Austin, you got something to share with anybody? Last moments, last words, things? Did I mute you? Uh-oh. You're good, buddy.
All right, I get you now. I just final kind of for me at CAP is, just again, encouraging you to go out and, learn more about your employees and learn, don't just learn how to manage people, learn how to manage them. That's kind of the biggest takeaway. And that's what, when I teach predictive index, I always tell people, don't learn how to manage, learn how to manage that person. So anyway.
Thank you, buddy. Hey, listen, how do people reach out to you? And can you talk a little bit about, what you guys at Sharper do when it comes to folks like me and companies like us with predictive index, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so my email's austin@sharperprocess.com. A couple things that we do is we are EOS implementers, entrepreneur operating system. So our consulting side of things, we come in, put in an operating system to the company, help with structure, processes, meeting structures, things like that is what we come in and do, and then accountability with that as well. And then we also use predictive index to evaluate current team. We also we are predictive index certified coaches, which means that we train, service, and sell predictive index subscriptions. So we kind of do that on that side of things. Anybody on here is interested in taking a behavioral assessment, not a sales pitch. There's no follow-up from me. I am a high D, so I'm a terrible salesperson, so you know that right off the bat. But if you're interested in taking one, we're allowed to give it to you guys for free as a sales pitch. So I will not pitch, but email me at austin@sharperprocess.com and just tell me, hey, I want to take a predictive index. I'll be happy to send you a link, take one, and then auto send you the report. You won't even hear from me. That'll just be it. If you want to take one, just to learn more about kind of what drives you and some self-awareness there. So austin@sharperprocess.com. Email Mo, he can give it to you if you didn't write it down.
Thank you. And you just got kudos because the dog walked in the background. So
yes, I have a dog.
That does it all.
My dog looks like a teddy bear too.
He is. He's a beauty. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Last words. I'm going to open it up to everybody to say hello and to invite you to network a little while. You don't have to go, but you got more time, and hopefully you get to enjoy each other for amicable time. So welcome everybody. Hello. Oh, unmute all. I did it.
Yeah, you're unmuted. Nobody wants to talk.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Zach's got to say something here.
Sharita, are you there? Sharita, you're unmuted, man. Can you hear me? I know you got some deals. You've been cooking. Oh, all right. Well, you guys, thank you and have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you soon. Don't forget next Tuesday, our next meeting, which is our not next market update, but it's going to be all about deal maker session. So join us. Lots of deals. Thank you, Austin.